depending on the way you've got it. Hopefully your video panels aren't blocking some of the information, but first step in tonight's portal training is explaining how we get here. And the easiest way to do so is by navigating in your browser to kinliving.com. You will notice it changes to a different web address, but kinliving.com is the easiest one for you to use. And for those who are have not accessed the portal in this fashion, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a resident login button. I attempted to kind of suss that out on the front end with the notice that went out indicating that if you haven't done so before or logged in, this is the easiest way to get to the page. And as I've logged in there, it would normally take you, because I'm logged into the system, to the login page. But I'm going to log in now quickly as Marcia Powell, so just bear with me. This is a training feature for us that when we get questions from residents in the buildings in our portfolio, we can log in as you guys to assist in the navigation if you're calling and saying, hey, I'm on your website, I'm trying to find this particular thing. But you should now see essentially what is the homepage for the Cosmopolitan, and all unit owners would see this when they log in. In kind of typical web fashion, you've got a search, a top toolbar, and we'll call it the middle toolbar, and we'll go kind of through these briefly. Your right-hand side, you can see that Marcia Powell's user is right here. I won't click on it for the sake of privacy information, but for those that are there, that's a location where you have the ability to update your contact information, whether it be the basics, the phone and email, anything from your vehicles, emergency contact information, etc. So that's just a nice feature for individuals who like doing that on their own. Obviously, you've got the concierge and can phone them up, send an email, however you go about. But for those who like to do so without having to talk to anybody, that is always an option. On our top toolbar, as I talked about, you kind of got some of the more basic features. I think for unit owners and residents of the Cosmopolitan, probably the most frequented section would be the association documents, which are located right here under the Libraries tab. When we click on the Libraries tab, it will bring up the various libraries that owners have access to. Everything from meeting minutes to the governing documents, certificate of insurance and other insurance documents, including the complete policies. As unit owners, you have access to the association financial records. Those are scrub financial records, so you don't have to worry about seeing any of the information about delinquencies, but those are the income statement and balance sheet that everyone has access to. Various forms, notices that we've historically posted, access to the maintenance plan and reserve study, which for the curious and want to see kind of when the respective things, like let's say the roof replacement is scheduled, you could go and do a deep dive. Oftentimes a lot of these documents come in handy if you are in the process of selling your unit, and there's individual documents that you want to provide as part of your disclosure. Of particular import to unit owners, we have a library called Unit Finish and O&M Manuals. For those who are original unit owners at the Cosmopolitan, you probably remember the tablet that you received at the time of your purchase of your unit. But a lot of that information that was housed on that tablet, because oftentimes it doesn't get transferred at the time of the sale, can be found here. Anything from paint information to the maintenance of your fireplace, thermostat operations, appliance information, you name it. So a lot of good resources here. And I think that'll pair nicely for those that were in attendance at our meeting last night. We heard the ops committee talk about trying to kind of bulk up that information, whether it be service providers, just information on helpful tips for maintenance within units. All those kind of things is things that we can kind of customize based on the involvement of the association. So there's a great opportunity for, a personalization. Kind of this reflects what would be basic to the Cosmopolitan, but you can see that there's the ability for people to add information to make it a more powerful tool for the community.
Honestly, Tim, though, I think so many people in this community, and myself included, didn't realize the wealth of knowledge that's here. So I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, well, we like to push it, but not be too pushy, if that makes sense. We realize it's a resource. less so than a requirement. We don't want to say, hey, go there, find this there. But I think this is one of those opportunities that we can at least demonstrate that, if you ever just were looking for information as opposed to a Google search, you've kind of got a customized Google search, if you will, in the form of this website. That's all things Cosmopolitan. I was just going to quickly note that you've kind of got a toggle here between your thumbnail view and a table view. If you are, kind of in the vein of everyone's kind of noticed folders, the setups either Mac or PCs, and like many things, you can sort from ascending to descending based on either the first letter by clicking the top of each one, or if you've got the date and you're just kind of looking for something based on meeting minutes, let's say, you can use that. But that's just a quick toggle that I wanted to show everybody. Navigating back, obviously you could go the long route and use the back feature, but for the sake of today, like I said, the home feature is going to be your splash back to what is essentially the landing page. That's a quick, I think, just crash course into the top toolbar, if you will. We might include some additional training about guests and cases in a later date, but I think for today's exercise, we'll use that as our starting point. The next thing I want to go on over is the middle, we'll call it the middle toolbar, which gives you what is called your feed. This is where you would see all of the activity for the groups that you belong to. Hopefully by now you've seen kind of the different areas that we as Kin Living and members of the community distribute various informations. The first that you see here is the Cosmopolitan community. It's kind of a combination of maybe less formal association information and kind of more helpful tips and reminders combined with a community want ad, if you will. And then you've got the notice group, which really houses the majority of the formal communication from the association. You'll see the agendas. Obviously yesterday we posted after the board meeting the poll that was distributed about the various options for security and their impact to the budget. But again, this is in the same way of the various social media sites. This is your feed, if you will, of those groups that you're a member of and the recent activity there. You can kind of see as we scroll down, we did have a member, Kathleen Delhagen, a little earlier this afternoon post, just kind of a heads up, there's 2 free window shades. Perfect example of a way to reach your neighbors with various, hey, I've got this, or do you have that? I think we've had some people ask about parking spaces in the past, for individuals who maybe aren't using them. As we know, we have a lot of residents that don't necessarily live at the building full time. So there's opportunities to rent an additional parking space, things like that. But personal belongings, things that you're getting rid of, TVs, you name it, it serves as an opportunity to reach a much wider audience than, let's say, posting on the bulletin board, which still obviously serves its purpose. If you were to drill down into these individual communities or groups or anything that's a hyperlink, it would take you into the group itself. So I just navigated into the Cosmopolitan community, and you can see that drives us straight into the activity and most recent feed. And when we scroll down, we see those same 2 notices we saw in our general feed, but these here are only those specific to the Cosmopolitan community. Another example, we had a resident earlier today just post a notice that they're renting out their unit in a way for kind of a chance to keep it in the family within the Cosmopolitan. I think it's kind of a community building tool if you see it in that way, where you can kind of leverage the knowledge or information of your fellow neighbors and community for whatever it is that you're looking for information for. I think one of the opportunities when we talk about hey, I'm trying to figure out the light bulbs in my unit, or who do I call to service my meal appliances, you could do so. If Marcia, if you're comfortable, I can use this as an opportunity to just show you what you would do if you were looking to post this. Anything from the simple to the more detailed you can see. And when you ask this to the community, it would be posted and distributed. We'll be bothering a few people with that, but that's okay. I think this is just a good way to drive a little bit of traffic here. So you'll have to forgive me. I'll delete it so they won't be able to see it in a little bit. But you can see how easy it is, really, truly, just to ask a question that reaches the entire cosmopolitan community. We did convert this earlier this year so that everyone does get an email every time something's posted here, so it does reach everyone. Navigating back before I do so, just so you know, as part of our annual unit occupancy form that we distribute, on the right-hand side, you do have live links to all those that have opted into your resident directory. So if you wanted to see who has authorized distribution and publication of the contact information, you can click that link. It's a live link that would be basically the most recent information that we have on file. We can see that we've got 72 contacts of the 154 units. So not bad, not bad. Obviously, this is just an opt-in tool, so there's no requirement, but these are all the people that have been comfortable distributing their contact information. So a quick click back to the home screen takes me back to the splash page. As I said, we now see on the Cosmopolitan community that last post that Marcia so graciously allowed me to post on her behalf. And any resident, like I said, logging in after the fact would see that, but they did also receive an email notification. I'm going to plop back into my screen sharing view as I had minimized it, so just bear with me one moment.
I had a penny for every time I've done that.
Yeah.
It's really unuser friendly, if you ask me, when you minimize your screen to find.
Yeah, I got away from it, and then now I'm back in my participants in Q&A. I was just checking to see if there was any chats. I don't see any at the moment. So I was just going to make sure there weren't any questions based on the information I had gone over thus far. But that's kind of a quick crash course in just general navigation into the community. And that really was what we wanted to provide to the ownership. We recognize there aren't a ton of people on here, but I think you can see that if one or two people do what was done earlier today, it usually puts a bug in other people's minds to say, oh, that's a similar thing I can do when I run into just a question, something I want to broadcast to the community. And it really is an easy way, so long as you remember your username and password, to do so. If you don't, no worries. You can always email us and we can send you a reset password email. My recommendation for those that joined is once you've logged on to the Kin Living site and access that resident community login page, is to save that as your favorite on your browser and click remember password so that it will allow you to get onto it easier in the future. So we'll continue to try to enforce that, or remind people. We can't enforce anything, but remind people that that's an easy way to avoid the dreaded, I have to log in every time I access it so I don't use it, which we do understand. There's so many usernames and passwords that we all have. I have the same problem whenever I go to pay my credit cards because I can't remember them. So I can certainly relate. I do see a quick question. Janie had posted a comment, but I did not receive an email notification. Great question. Gets into a little bit of the advanced part of this. What I'll do, if you can tell me, Marcia, I might be able to go into it, but I'll use the Cosmopolitan Notices group here as an example, because there was some conversation here. Oh, I think I got it. When you, as an owner, respond to the mass email that we generate from these posts, it populates that email as a comment into the feed of that post. In order for a response to generate an email to the individual, what you would need to do, and you might have seen me do this in other threads, is follow the trends created by Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I won't read the entire thing, but if I was Marcia in this case, or myself, I'd start by that at mention symbol and then typing in Janie's name, which will intuitively pull up any and all Janies, or, you know, if you started with Jan, you could see it bring up all the different combinations of JAN, but we know we're looking for Janie Kua. Once you click that and you see the at symbol plus the hyperlink that designates that it's the user in the same way that Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter do, this, once a comment was typed, would generate that email. So you, like I said, you've probably seen me in other threads. I was going to try to find one here if I scroll down. Not to call out Nelly, it's not in any way, shape, or form a call out, but I was looping Nelly in for the comments to our first test poll, so that she could see what people were saying in response to whether or not it was easy to respond to that poll. As we did get a pretty overwhelming majority of the people saying yes, it was easy, but we did get some comments about maybe other ideas of what could be used as an alternate method. So you can see that Kate, your new lead concierge, responded to Jane as she asked a question about if I can vote if I'm a resident but not a unit owner. So great question. And feel free to let me know if that sufficiently answered the question. Long-winded.
I actually have a question in terms of the polling that we've been doing. When I logged in to try to see who had voted, because I'm trying to do the counterbalance on the votes, is it only the person that put the poll forward that can see who voted which way?
Good question. Let's see. I'm logged in as Marcia, correct? So right. Marcia does see the results,
but not necessarily who voted which way.
Not the who. We don't. The metrics there is a back end thing that the board of directors would have access to, I believe, but I could confirm that.
Okay, because when I logged in, I struggled with that, but I'll follow up offline.
Yeah. Thanks. That's a good question, though. Great question. I did see a second question. I want to make sure, Marcia, that answered your question about the app mention. So feel free to chime in. And
she said yes, perfect. Yeah. Oh, just in time. Honey.
Got it. I missed it, and it was hidden in there. Judy Wilkinson asked about access your statement. Judy, was this in regards to your statement for your HOA account balance? If so, I'll have to rely on you, or I can get back into my my access and unmute you. Let me see if I can. All right, there it is, your yes, thank you. That is actually accessed through ClickPay. So the Kin Living portal doesn't have access to your HOA account balance. But if you are signed up with ClickPay, which is the service that we offer Kin Living to residents to make automatic withdrawals for their HOA payments, you would have the ability to look that up if you haven't already created a login. I can show you how you can access it really quickly if you don't mind. And when we go to kinliving.com, there is the ClickPay next to the left-hand side of the resident login button. If you click that and log in here, you'd be able to see your account balance. If you needed a more detailed statement, that would be something that our accounting team would be able to provide you. Oh, and I don't know if Kathleen, I hadn't looked at the participants. I don't know if Kathleen O'Donnell was on the call. It doesn't look like she is, but she did respond to our test question. So it did its job. So thanks to Kathleen. In that case, you can see because Marcia posted it, she'd get a notice that there was a response. If there were subsequent responses, it wouldn't generate an email to the individuals unless you went with the app mention. So I think that's something we'll be focusing on collectively as we work to kind of build in the interactive nature of these, what are essentially forums.
But this is essentially, it's basically showing the usefulness of the platform. It's just, it's
Yeah.
actually
I
being
mean,
underutilized right now because none of us have really been active in it. So,
yeah, I mean, not until recently, when we went into the cosmopolitan community earlier. If I do a quick scroll, and you'll have to forgive me, it may drag on your screen share side. You can see that Emma Claire and is going to be a pretty common one with the weekly updates. And up until recently, it's pretty infrequent. We kind of got a rash of good rash, not a bad rash, but a influx, I should say, of posts in the last couple days. You can see Lisa Wyatt posted some information about the knife sharpening event, which she talked about during her social committee report last night at the board meeting. Um, Last week, she had given some information about the Stay Home, Stay Safe effort that the social committee was leading. And then when we kind of start scrolling, you'll see that the majority of it are weekly notices from Emma Claire. But as Nellie touched on, 9 minutes ago we posted, and 5 minutes ago we got an answer. And so that's a great way. And we now see that Durgesh actually responded as well and provided a recommendation that mirrored Kathleen. So that also reinforces that Kathleen, who we know is very knowledgeable and is a realtor and has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things condominium. If you didn't have that level of confidence, but you saw it backed up by another homeowner, that gives you some peace of mind as well. The intention was for this to be between 20 and 30 minutes, so we're at 25. But for those individuals that are on the call, I wanted to make sure if you guys had any other questions, you had a chance to do so since we're all here.
Tim, I can't thank you enough for putting this together. I know it's just something it's simple enough, but also complicated enough that it helps us all stay apprised as to the data and database that we really have in our hands. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm just checking the chat feature to see if we have any other. Belinda, thank you. That's one of those things as your management company, we often make some grave assumptions, and those can be our downfall. So I'm really glad that the app mention is helpful to know that that's how you engage the individual directly with an email.
Well, Tim, I can't thank you enough for pulling this together. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, maybe we'll plan on doing some more. You get into a little more of the advanced nature, but tell a friend, whether it be in person, as I know we're not seeing as many people in person, but you still probably catch some people in passing in the common elements. But yeah, drive some content. If you've got something that you were thinking about, or even just want to do a dummy one, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think the more people use it, the more powerful the tool can be.
Absolutely. And we'll send this out, since it's recorded, to as many people as we can, or to the full ownership, and hopefully others will watch it and participate and actively engage.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Take care.
Go. Bye.
Bye.